All right, so we have the Taurus GX4 9mm. It's the Toro version, which has the extra plate on the top for any optics. And the issue I'm having, I call it a auto forward issue, but the slide doesn't lock consistently, lock back. So in situations where you have an empty mag, if you slam the mag, like I've been always trained to do, it stays back like you would expect it to operate. But then if you have a mag that's full with any rounds, just a round in it, when you slam it, well, it didn't work that time, but when you slam it, you get the auto forward and you see it chambered around. See it right there? So the problem is that you might think, oh, that's a cool feature to have. The problem is that, say you finish a round, you empty a mag, you go to drop a mag, sometimes the slide will forward before you have a chance to re-rack your next mag, and then you have to re-rack again, so it's really inconvenient. So you see that? That's the problem. Let me empty the round and I'll show you another problem that I've experienced at the range. Sometimes when the slide's back, and just the vibration, you can get the slide forward, and every time it chambers around, because it chambers it reliably, but you just don't want it. I'd rather have something a little bit safer than that. So if I have one back, I've been at a range where I've had the slide back, and see, no good. So I read on a forum somewhere how to fix this. And the issue, again, I don't know if you're going to see it on the video, but the issue is that there's a slide in here. There's a lock that engages the slide. And what happens is that lock rides down. So let me show you how to, we're going to disassemble this, and I'm going to actually file that edge down so it doesn't do it anymore. Since I've been chambering live rounds, let's get these bad boys out of the way. Get the live rounds out of the way, verify, chamber check and mag check. We're clear, there's nothing in there. So basically, some of you guys don't know this, but there's that 90-degree pin tool. If you look carefully, you actually see it unlock. So basically, you can use a shell casing, turn it 90 degrees, and then, didn't get that right, let's try that again. Turn 90 degrees and then it comes right out, so it's super convenient. So I'll get the barrel out of the way, and you can see now, you can see it better. You can actually see the metal piece that engages up there. And the problem is the angle. Let me see if I can zoom in on this. Yeah, so here's the problem. See the angle of that piece of metal? It's too shallow, and it's riding the slide down. So we're gonna file that to be more vertical. I don't know how much is too much, so I'm gonna go easy. I'm doing this on the camera, so we're gonna learn together, I guess. So the way you take this, obviously you can't Dremel that down or anything. I'm going to hand file it because I think Dremel would be too aggressive. You can't do it while it's all assembled. So what you have to do is take this pin out, and you'll see that there's get the lighting better here. There's a spring. See the spring right in here? This spring captivates that 90-degree pin. This assembly pin. Once you disengage that spring, the pin will pop right out, and you basically, it's a little awkward because you have to disengage the spring and push from, I always push from this side, this side of the pin. So let me get a smaller screwdriver, just a flathead, and I'm going to use this and basically disengage the pin and just put some friction on it, right? And then I'm going to take a pin, center punch or whatever. So right now I'm applying pressure to the pin, or to the spring here. And it's hard to do while I'm trying to get it on camera too, but basically now I'm using the punch. And once you take the pressure off the pin, let's try a different way. You kind of get the concept here. I'm going to use this hook here as kind of a standoff. So let's try this again. So I'm going to put pressure on. Okay. Yeah, I actually have good purchase on that spring, pushing it toward the back and then pushing it through. And you can actually see, that spring. You see how it engages that pin, so you can push it back. And that pin right here, you actually see it has an indentation. Try to get it zoomed in here. Anyway, yeah, they're right there. You can see it. So that's how that pin is held in. So that's why you disengage that spring. So once you have this pin out, this lower assembly will pivot out. It basically pivots from the dovetail back here. So what you do is you start to lift it up, you see, and you're going to have to manipulate the trigger for the clearance. So I'm basically pushing the trigger back and it will pivot out. Now, when you take this out, if you go slowly, take a look at how this spring is, because this spring will basically, when you take this whole trigger group out, this spring is going to pop out. But you can see that spring, again, this is the spring that we were pressing on here. You can see that it moves it out of the way so you can pop the pin out. So that spring basically is just fit in by friction right there. It engages the spring, but it also holds this lever down. So you see when it's assembled, it basically keeps this pressed down until you, let me get an empty mag here. You get an empty mag. Well, I can't really do it because it's disassembled, but when you plug in the empty mag, the mag here pushes up on the spring, and that's what engages the slide lock. So anyway, when I take this out, see how this all just kind of loosely falls apart here? So don't, pause the video or whatever. You don't flip out when you see springs, but just be aware that it's loose. So now you have the trigger group that's out. And then you can actually take this. It's just held in that pin that gets sandwiched in the housing. So we're gonna get my little mag tray here so we don't lose anything. All right. Now you have the trigger group, right? We can put that to the side actually, and this is the piece I'm really concerned about. So you'll see that angle right there, it's smooth and it's too rounded, I believe. So what I want to do is I want to square that off a little bit. So let me break out the files and check back in with you guys. All right, so I was trying to figure out a way to quantify how much material I'm going to take off of this pin. This is the zoom in of the pin here. And I don't really have a good way to do it. This is my caliper, some calipers that I have. And, that's definitely a flat there, right? And not very good. Anyway, you can see it's that, what I really care about is that rounded end. So if I'm square to that vertical face, you see it's rounded. So I think it's, unfortunately, I think this is going to be a kind of a trial and error. Of course, where they say measure 3 times, cut once, we're going to just mill off a little bit with my file. Anyway, maybe I can, if I get fancy with this video editing, I can do some screenshots, like kind of a before and after. So this is the before, so let me file it out a little bit and see how we do. All right, so a long time ago, my dad taught me that these are called bastard files. Not sure why, but it's always stuck with me. I wonder why. So if you look at this piece of metal here, you can see from the file that there's you can see the angle. The problem is this angle right here it's too shallow. We want to make it more vertical. So I think what I want to do is take off this peak right here and kind of make it more of a vertical edge. So I'm going to do this off camera so I can focus on it, and I'll show you the afterwork. Actually, this metal must not all be that great because it's pretty soft. I'm digging into it pretty good. You know, with the file, you basically go one direction, right? So you can see that if I screw this up, I'll just send it back to Taurus for some rework. So it's actually, you can see where I'm kind of taking that face off a little bit. Man, I just really don't want to go too far on this. I want this video to be how to successfully modify your Taurus, not screw it up. All right. Okay, so we'll put this back together, and well, let me give it a couple more whacks here. Maybe a Dremel might actually be better to do this, but it just removes so much material so quickly that. And if you look on the end of this metal, it's actually, there's some marks, like some casting marks or something. So I don't know, maybe that's part of the problem. Who knows? But hey, it's let's see if that works. So I'm going to reassemble this, see how well I can do. So again, you take your trigger group here, remember how this goes, and you basically pop that lever on there. It sits below this. That kind of confused me at first, so it sits below. And if you remember the spring, the way that works is that flat basically goes, was it like this? No, it was like, sorry, it takes me a little bit to figure this out again. Actually, it goes in here like this. Pop that curved piece on. There. So it's like that. Okay. So then it's gonna be loose. You have to jerry rig it a little bit. At least just hold it with your finger. So then what you do, remember, it pivots in from the dovetail, so it's going to reassemble the same way. I'm going to, the trigger's interfering, so we're going to push the trigger back. You see how that goes? I'm going to do one last check. See, it's all, that spring is sitting flush. It's not proud of that lever, and it all just kind of fits right in. Actually, it's pretty straightforward once you get the hang of it. So now you see that the spring is actually in the way of the pin. The flat here goes on the side of the frame that has the unlock. If you remember correctly, because the captive pin is on this side, we push the pin this way out, so it reassembles the opposite way. So again, we have to push that. We have to push that spring out of the way, and then the pin should go in smooth. Let's try it out. Something is not quite right. So push the pin out of the way. really have to push it back pretty good. It's out of the way, so I think the pin is not lined up. Let's just apply like, no. You don't want to force it. Everything will go together once you get the alignment right. So we push that back. This time using the table for stability, push it back, and then now. No, something is not quite right. Maybe, I've never thought about the orientation of this pin. So let's try it with it flat. I don't know if that's how I had it before. Let's try it again. Okay, I think not quite on there. I hope you can see this. I'm going to push the spring all the way back. Okay, so that was the problem. This spring has to go all the way back to the end of the slot. And sorry, my lighting is not great, but that's the issue there. So you got to make sure that when you press that spring back right there, it goes all the way toward the back. All right. So then we reassemble. I can't remember if that needs to go vertical or not. So we're just going to do trial and error. We're going to wing it. Okay. I don't think that's right, so let's put it vertical. All right. I guess I should just read the manual. Or I can just fumble around for you on camera until we get it right. So, hey, I didn't muck up the slide or the slide lock. Empty mag. Full mag. Here's the moment of truth. Huh. Maybe I got lucky. Remember this? All right, well that was better, but still not satisfactory. So I think what I want to do is I want to mill it down a little bit more. But you can see it's getting better, but still not good. So I'm going to do this procedure all over again. I'm going to keep milling it down. All right, guys, checking back in with you. I went through about 3 or 4 rounds of filing. And I can tell you, I think I fixed it. This file here, it's a #1 file. It did not take much. I kind of just, if you remember on that flat, how it kind of the end rounded off, I just focused on the flat and made the flat part bigger. Probably each time I did it, maybe it was 5 to 7 passes on this #1 file. And it took about 3 iterations. So I would just say, if you do attempt to do this on your own, I'm sure that Taurus would take care of this for you under warranty, but I didn't want to hassle with it. You can get it fixed. So I'm sitting here, I have a full mag, it's empty, right? And I'm slamming it. And it seems to be working, okay. And remember the table tap test. That is, the situation is so much better. I don't know if a normal firearm would do that. That I'm not going to file off more. I'm going to see how well this runs. My biggest thing was, let me get that live round out of the chamber. My biggest thing here is that what was driving me crazy is that if I emptied a mag and I had a full mag and I popped it in, sometimes just moving the gun around, the rack would go forward, and then I would have to put a full mag in, and then you have to do another slide release, which was annoying. So I think the fundamental problem is resolved. This table tap, it's certainly a lot better. That's pretty good. I really want to just take it easy because I don't want to have to send this back in for warranty work. So I think I'm pretty happy with the results. So anyway, let's get the live rounds out of here. Keep them separate from the firearm. Chamber check, mag check, we're clear. So anyway, enjoy your Taurus. It's a great gun. Take care.